Hello guys, you are welcome to my channel. Now in today's video I'm going to be talking about something very important about remote jobs that people don't talk about. So everyone is talking about remote jobs, especially for Africans and also worldwide. All right, but the challenge is not as easy as it sounds. All right, getting one is kind of hard because people make it so easy, but the reality is that it's not really that easy. Is hard, and this is what many people don't tell you, and this is what I'm going to be talking about today, and also show you exactly what you are supposed to do to make it easier for you. And here are some of the reasons why people are attracted to remote jobs. All right, the first thing is that you can actually earn in dollars, all right, in USD. That's one good thing. When you work remotely, you can earn in dollars, right? And another thing is that you can also work from home. So that means you don't have to start, leaving your house every day, to a place of work for work. So you can just sit down with your laptop and your phone and do this kind of job. So this is one good thing about remote jobs. And the other thing is that you don't even need to travel or to relocate to other places, maybe to cities, to, different countries and maybe other places, but you can just sit down with your laptop and then do this kind of job. And the good thing is that it's also very, very flexible. All right, this is something that you can just do at your leisure. All right, whenever you are free, you can do it. You can never be doing other things at the same time working remotely. And then here are some of the reasons why it's really and super competitive. All right, I'm going to be talking about it realistically. The first thing is about global competition. All right, now because there are millions of people, there are thousands and millions of people that are applying for remote jobs, but the harder part is that the number of remote jobs that are available are not up to the number of people that are applying for those kind of jobs. So that means you are competing with people from every part of the world. There are even people who are more advanced than you, who are more skillful than you, that are also applying. All right, there are some countries that have advantages, in terms of experience and systems more than other countries. So this is one thing you should be aware of. And then I hear a lot of people saying you don't need experience to actually do this. And I kind of think that this is misleading. You actually need some level of experience, all right, but you will still need communication skills. All right, there are people that you want to communicate with. If you don't have the kind of skills to be able to communicate with them, you're going to find it hard, difficult, right, to be able to land a remote job. And then another thing is basic tech skills. There are some of these remote jobs that require tech skills. Of course, most of them, like all remote jobs, they require tech skills because you're going to have to start working with your computer and your phone. And there are some basic skills that you need to acquire. So when people say that you don't require skill, I don't think they are telling the truth. They are lying. So you are going to require some basic skills, to be able to get started with remote jobs. And another thing I also noticed is that there are some employers that will expect value from you. All right, so you don't just expect somebody to employ you to do a particular job why you can't create value. So you should be able to create some value, and this is what some employers expect from you. So another thing I want to talk about is payment and location issues. And I'm going to be talking specifically to those in Africa. All right, we know what we are experiencing in terms of receiving money, especially for those that that work with paper, because most remote jobs, they actually work with paper. I'm not saying it's all of them, all right, most of them. So that is one of the barriers I see. So there are some platforms that don't support certain countries also. That's one thing you should know. They don't support certain countries. I don't know why they do that. The payment methods can also be a very, very big challenge, especially for those in Africa. All right, there are some companies that we avoid hiring from certain regions. If you are from some kind of regions, maybe like African regions, Bangladesh, some other countries, they may not employ you. But of course, there are still some that will employ you. Okay, now this is where you can find some of these jobs. All right, one of the places I would recommend for, especially if you are in Africa and even other parts of the world, is Indeed. All right, Indeed is a very, very great platform for you to find jobs, and then it's available for almost every country, so you can apply there. And another place is LinkedIn. Of course, everybody, as long as you have access to the internet, I'm sure that you have access to, you can access jobs from LinkedIn, because there are a lot of people out there that are looking for people to work for them. All right, so there are some sites that are specifically for remote jobs. One of them is called We Work Remotely. All right, so this one is a very, very great site that you can check. And then another thing is Remote OK. All right, so you can also go to Google, browse about it to see how you can find some jobs there. And then there are also some freelance platforms like Fiverr, Upwork. These are popular platforms that you can check, and for remote jobs, they are very, very popular. And the good thing is that you don't need to pay. It's very, very free to join. Just get your Gmail and create an account. So these platforms, they work, they are very great, but the only challenge they have is that they are really crowded. So that is one thing you should be aware of. Now here's where most people fail. All right, now one thing is applying randomly. All right, many people just apply randomly without being specific, without looking at the particular ones that will fit you or fit your region. So do not just go about apply randomly. So be very, very specific. Another thing is poor CV, or maybe you have a very, very if your profile is not optimized, because if you want to apply for some of these remote jobs, most of them, before they will approve you, they are going to check your profile to be sure that you actually meet all the requirements, or you are a good fit for this. So if you have a poor CV, then your chances of getting rejected, is kind of high. And the other thing is that many people, they actually give up too early, because when you apply for a particular job and you are not called to resume, many people just give up too early. So that is one thing I see. And then another is expecting fast results. Many people just want to apply today, get started, and start getting fast results. It doesn't always happen like that. Of course, these are, like I said before, this is what many people don't talk about, especially people on social media, YouTube, Instagram, and some other platforms. Now, here's what actually works. And this is the path that you are going to follow that is very simple. So one thing is that you are going to pick one type of job. All right, just focus on one type of job. Don't try to be a jack of all trades. Don't try to pursue everything. So stick to one type of job, and then also take some time to learn the basics of that particular job, and then make sure to continue applying. All right, be consistent in your application. Keep applying till you're able to get some kind of remote jobs. All right. And also, you also need to improve your profile. Make sure you keep improving your profile over time. Check if it's a good fit. And you can also look at other people's profile in the platform. You see what they are doing that are in the same line of business or niche with you. And then see, okay, if it's something that, see how they are doing it. And you can just get idea from there. But you don't have to copy them directly. Now, here are some of the types of jobs that I think that you can actually target. Then one of them is customer support. We also have the virtual assistants. We have the content moderation. We have the data entry. So these are some of the jobs that you can apply for. All right, so let me talk about the USD payment. All right, now remember, not all USD jobs pay high. All right, some are low paying, despite the fact that they are in dollars. So some still have to pay you very low. So you have something you should also know. And that's in experience increases your earnings. So as you keep working and you begin to have some kind of experience, your earning increases. All right, so that's one thing you should know. And then finally, the truth is, remote jobs, they are actually real, but it's not really as easy as all these influencers make it sound. All right, so they are rebate, they are not that easy. So remember, if you are going to treat it like a get rich quick scheme, then you are going to struggle.